How do you manage time? Story 1. Routine is what makes you exceptional. The less effort you spend on figuring out what you should be doing, the more effort you can devote to making progress in any area. Ironically, the more refined your routine is, the better you can handle unexpected changes when life disrupts your plans and you need to adjust quickly. Story 2. Schedule your days to the best of your ability. Now try it with children and school if you really want a challenge. Story 3. Stop scrolling on social media and watching television. When I did that, suddenly I had an extra 2 or more hours each day. Story 4. I don't do everything in one day. Work and the gym occur on the same days for me, so when the weekend arrives, I have time for other activities. Story 5. The perfect balance does not exist. Every day you will have to prioritize one thing over another. The idea is to aim for consistency. For example, I will consistently aim to work out 3 times per week, spend time with friends twice a week, and dedicate time to my hobby for the remainder of the week. It is a pattern you need to figure out for yourself. You must determine how willing you are to spend a specific amount of time on various activities to feel you are achieving your goals. Story 6. There is an invisible backdrop or life conditions that make tasks easier. People often congratulate themselves for being efficient without realizing what truly makes it endlessly simpler. In my first marriage, I would wake up at 5, bike to the gym and work out, bike home, shop, cook, spend time with the kids, do laundry, prepare breakfast and lunch boxes, and then go to sleep. Today, in my second marriage, with a much more disorganized spouse and a more chaotic environment, I feel accomplished if I can fit in a workout and manage to do laundry in a day. Life is significantly less efficient when your surrounding environment is disordered. Story 7. Some people manage to balance all of this while also raising children. I suspect they might be using methamphetamine when no one is watching. Story 8. I realized about 2 years ago that I was very unorganized, which was creating a lot of stress. I felt like I never had time for anything I loved, but in reality, I just needed to be better at scheduling my days. I work a pretty intense job where, when I am working, I am fully engaged the entire time with no breaks. I'm also reachable around the clock, no matter the day. For me, switching to working out early in the mornings was key. I wake up at 4:30 to get started. I built a home gym in my garage and begin my workout by 4:50. I finish my workout around 6:15 and then get ready for the day. Coffee, shower, and a chat session with my wife and kids. I'm out the door by 7:15 and work from 8 until around 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. I spend 2 hours each night with my wife, sometimes engaging in hobbies like reading, writing, podcasting, woodworking, and coaching youth baseball. My child plays travel hockey, which adds another hobby for me. The main point here is that I have very little downtime. I don't sit around playing on my phone. If I'm not moving and doing something, I usually feel restless. Story 9. This schedule repeats daily, with tasks being interchangeable depending on the number of orders I have. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Morning routine. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Work. 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Side business work and eating. 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Work. 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Gym. 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Dinner. 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Side business work. 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Gaming, chatting with friends, or relaxing. 10:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. Sleep. Story 10. Be economical with your time. If you work 8 hours a day, ask yourself what you are really doing with your other 8 hours, assuming you sleep for 8 hours. Consider the activities you are already engaged in and reflect on whether you truly enjoy them or derive value from them. Story 11. I cannot speak for those men, but I can tell you that I have none of those things. Here is my reason: depression. As much as I would like to have those opportunities, all I can do is lie here and pass the time. Did my depression prevent any of these from happening? Or was it the lack of these opportunities that caused my depression? Another question I ponder while lying here. Story 12. Right now, it feels like I'm barely managing. The honest truth is that having money is key. The amount I feel on top of life's challenges is closely correlated with my financial situation. Money allows you to eat out, which can be your social life through lunches and dinners with friends. It also frees up hours you would have spent cooking and doing dishes, giving you time to hit the gym. Money lets you hire someone to fix broken items, saving you those hours to spend on other activities. Hobbies also require money. Having more of it allows you to engage more deeply in your interests. Being able to afford a car instead of relying on public transport gives you an extra hour or two each day that those using public transit do not have. Money provides the freedom to do all the things you need to stay happy and healthy. Story 13. I work a full-time job, and I am currently seeing someone that may lead to something more. This requires a lot of attention. I also have some friends in the area and a few artistic hobbies I enjoy. Additionally, I work out 6 days a week. Here's my routine. Wake up every morning at 6 to work out before work. Work from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Do a cardio workout for 30 minutes after work. Most of my time during the week is dedicated to this girl I'm seeing. We either go out or she comes over and we just relax. However, twice a week I reserve my evenings for my own personal hobbies and personal time. Every Saturday, I hang out with my friends if they're free. If not, I spend time with that girl. I always prioritize spending time with my friends on Saturdays, and I keep in touch with them through texts during the week. It's not always easy and requires planning, but it's manageable. Story 14. It's really about having a routine and not wasting time. I manage to do all of this while working around 50 hours a week and still getting 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep each night. I get out of bed at 7:30 a.m. and work from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. I go to the gym from 6 to 7:30 p.m. or play softball from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. for 4 out of 5 weekdays. Pre-workout supplements help with my energy, and I also enjoy the gym and look forward to it, especially after sitting at a desk all day. One evening is dedicated to catching up on extra work, cooking a few days' worth of dinners, cleaning, and other tasks. I have dinner and relax from 8 o'clock or 9 p.m. until 11:30 p.m. It's not ideal to have only a few hours of downtime, but if you enjoy the exercise or hobby, it doesn't feel that short. During the week, my social life mainly revolves around seeing my girlfriend, but the gym and softball are also social for me. On weekends, I focus on social activities from Friday to Saturday. This can be challenging when I'm tired from the daily grind, but after overcoming a weed addiction, I'm motivated to fill my free time. I recharge on Sundays, except for maybe a couple of hours of work to catch up and prepare for the week. I go to the gym 2 out of 3 weekend days. Working from home significantly helps with this schedule, which I am grateful for. Which of these can you not fit in and why? I'm willing to offer specific advice if you can provide details. Story 15. My hobby is dancing, which combines cardio and leisure into one activity. However, I still need to schedule strength training. They encourage us to use the private gym at work. Story 16. No kids. That's really it. My fiancé and I can do everything we want and need to do without the worry of taking care of children. Story 17. I also have a baby, and somehow it all works. It's just about wanting to do things instead of seeing everything as an obligation. Then you manage. I even find time to play games. Sometimes I think conventional standards were created by people who just love to complain. If you believe it's hard, it will be. If you just do it, you'll see how much you can fit into a day. It sounds simple because it actually is. Story 18. I have all those except a social life. I wake up at 6 every morning to work out. I exercise diligently for 1 hour every day. Story 19. Try to schedule it as best as possible. Rotate days for tasks, but be flexible when you need to adjust. Story 20. A 37-year-old man working on my master's degree, married for 12 years with 4 kids. Stay consistent with your schedule as much as possible. It is tough, but it will be worth it. Eat well, work out more than you want, and wake up early. Story 21. I have a wife and a job. I have a few hours for my hobby, and I go to the gym. There's really no time for much else. I don't have a social life, and I'm not sure when I would have the time. Story 22. Waking up early is key. It is amazing how much you can accomplish to free up your day while everyone else sleeps. Story 23. Scheduling, exercising in the mornings, working from home, and occasionally involving family in hobbies. It's important to avoid cramming everything into one day. Story 24. Scheduling and compromise. I work out early in the morning. I wake up, get my son ready for school, and get him out the door. I prepare breakfast for my daughter and set her up with cartoons in the room with my wife, giving her a little extra time to sleep. Then I head to the gym in my work clothes. I work out, take a shower, dress for work, and drive to the office. I work all day and then return home to spend time with my kids and wife and enjoy dinner together. I have countless hobbies. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and have become a jack of all trades, master of none type. You name a hobby, I can either already do it well or add it to my list and obsess about getting good at it until I do, and then I move on to the next. That said, I prioritize my family and health first. Monday nights are my nights for hobbies. Tuesday nights are reserved for my wife's hobbies. The rest of the week is mostly family time, with the occasional hobby included, especially if it's something everyone can enjoy, like going bowling or visiting the neighborhood pool. Story 25. Generally, if you enjoy what you are doing, then you will find time to do it. Sometimes, enjoying the process can lead you there as well. Story 26. I have realized lately that I have spent less downtime just wasting time on my phone. As soon as I get off work, it is my mission to allocate the next 5 to 6 hours to my hobbies, health, and habits. Hobbies include going to a cafe, reading, and spending time with friends and family. Health activities involve weightlifting and running. Habits consist of enjoying walks with my dog, preparing meals for the next day, working on my web portfolio, and cleaning. At the end of the day, it comes down to how committed you are to a schedule. For some people like me, I operate better on a consistent routine. Straying from routines tends to make me feel anxious. Story 27. I have two approaches. I ensure I allocate a specific number of days for activities. I know I can't work out every day and maintain a balanced schedule, but I can commit to working out 4 days a week. I may not have time to be social every day, but if I plan in advance with friends, I can incorporate that into my schedule. I also try to combine activities. For example, I go to the gym with a workout partner and enjoy my hobbies with friends. This way, I'm not just working out or being social. I can do both simultaneously. Story 28. Gym first, then work, and I combine my social life and hobbies by being in groups that do both. I belong to a nice birdwatching group, a photography group, hiking friends, and friends who enjoy hunting and fishing. Story 29. Make a schedule and commit to it. You can always find an excuse to avoid doing something, but there is always a reason to do the right thing. Story 30. During the week, I work, go to the gym, and spend the last 2 to 3 hours of the day relaxing at home, watching TV, or pursuing my hobbies, such as playing the guitar, piano, or producing music. On the weekend, I buy groceries for the week on Saturday, work out, and meet up with friends. On Sunday, I either hang out with friends or relax at home and engage in my hobbies. I often clean the apartment on Sunday. Story 31. I have no idea. I just figure it out as I go. I do not have kids and have pretty much given up on dating. However, I still maintain a good social life with friends and events. Story 32. Honesty is just about creating a habit. Hobbies and a job are easy. For me, working out is just about doing it at a certain time of day. When I feel lazy or am recovering, I consciously do something else during that time. I don't really believe in strict discipline or rigid scheduling. I know working out is healthy and will make me feel good about myself, so I focus on that and try to enjoy the process. Maintaining a social life is harder, especially as you get older. I usually try to spend time with friends once or twice a month and then play video games with other friends semi-regularly in the evenings. The hardest part is advocating for yourself, waiting for them to text you, and then reaching out when you genuinely want to do something. When it's a one-way street, it isn't very enjoyable. Story 33. Gym at 4 a.m., work from 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Social life with my wife and kids in the evenings and weekends. Hobbies on Friday afternoons and weekend mornings. What's so difficult about that? Story 34. 5 to 6 hours of sleep gives you a lot of time to do things. Jokes aside, I am fortunate to need little sleep. Story 35. I'm no longer like that, but although it's a bit counterintuitive, it actually helps to engage in more activities. I experienced something similar for a while studying. Exercising, having hobbies, and spending time with friends helped relieve stress and made study sessions more efficient. It's unfortunate that I realized this only after deciding to stop many of those activities to focus on my studies, which had the opposite effect. I believe that the job aspect is the most important. You will likely spend about 1/3 of your day there. It may be less if you are lucky or more if you have a long commute. If your job is stressful, you won't have much energy for anything else once you get home. Story 36. This may seem unusual to some, but as a restaurant manager, I primarily work in the evenings, except for one day a week when I work during the daytime. Starting as early as 11 allows me to hit the gym before work without waking up at the crack of dawn. The team is generally very sociable, like the staff at nearby restaurants, which gives me my days off to enjoy my hobbies, such as playing football, hiking, and going to the beach. Story 37. I am fully committed to my schedule. My weeks are fairly repetitive, but also flexible enough to accommodate my social life. I prefer to work out in the afternoons, but if going out interferes with my workout, I move it to first thing in the morning. My son is too young to participate in most of my hobbies, so my wife and I alternate days, allowing each other time for our interests. I usually engage in my hobbies on 2 to 3 weekend days each month. The other weekend days are spent with family or enjoying solo parenting. You really need to want and enjoy these activities to make time for them. Otherwise, you will simply make excuses for not pursuing one or the other. Story 38. Everything has a balance, and frankly, I never schedule things unless necessary, so it's enjoyable and not a chore. You have your work responsibilities with set times, which you can't control. For the rest, have a couple of usual workout days. It helps if it's a class, but having goals helps too. Then just call your friends if they are free or bored like you. Story 39. I used to follow the all-or-nothing routine often associated with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder when it came to the gym, hobbies, and relationships. Changing my perspective on this has helped a lot. Instead of feeling like I need to do everything all the time, recognizing that just a little bit of something keeps it fresh in my mind. For example, if I know I won't have time to go to the gym after work because my child has a sporting event, I will squeeze in a short walk during my lunch break. My main hobby at the moment is painting Warhammer. It's easy to feel like I need to complete the entire model in one sitting, or else I get discouraged and put it down for weeks or even months. Instead, I tell myself I will sit down for an hour and do what I can. Consistently doing a little bit of each is far more rewarding than trying to do 100% of everything. Don't sacrifice good for perfect. Story 40. Make it a habit and schedule your life around it. It means that sometimes you will have to sacrifice fun activities to go to the gym. However, if it is a priority and a concrete part of your life, it will be easier to maintain and more enjoyable. Unfortunately, to reach that point, you have to push yourself to go even when you do not want to. Continue this for several months, and eventually the habit will be established. Story 41. Add being married with children to all of that, along with getting adequate sleep. You have priorities. For me, family and work come first, followed by social life, hobbies, and exercise. These three constantly compete for time throughout the week. You must establish your own priorities. The key is to ensure that all of them receive at least a little time each week, if possible. Also, consider time distribution on a weekly basis rather than daily. Finding the balance is the challenge, but I managed to do all of these things. Story 42. My hobbies and social life are intertwined with working out. I enjoy going to the gym, running solo, bouldering, and golfing with friends. I also attend rugby matches on weekends and meet up with friends at the pub if there are no local matches. Story 43. I have 3 children. I work 12 hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week. My social life includes seeing my girlfriend 2 to 3 days a week, weekend trips once every few months, and friend hangouts occasionally. I have workout equipment in the garage and spend about 4 hours a week exercising while dinner cooks. My hobbies used to include painting, writing, repairing retro gaming consoles, and skateboarding. Currently, I only skateboard for 3 to 4 hours a month. In short, you cannot do everything all the time. Making sacrifices such as losing sleep and not resting may be necessary, but don't expect to live a long life this way. Story 44. I am a single father with a career, dating life, and I go to the gym daily. Take the time to determine what you truly want and eliminate the things that are not as important to you. It's that simple. For instance, I go to the gym during my lunch breaks at work. I arrange my dates in a way that considers my child's feelings. I work on my personal projects when I am not engaged in those activities. Story 45. Remote work with a job that does not track my hours. A year ago, I was promoted to management, but my schedule was not ideal. I stepped back down and reclaimed my time so that work fit into my life, rather than life fitting into work. Story 46. You likely have a lot of time that you spend doing nothing or wishing you were active. Much of that is simply about deciding to take action. Story 47. I manage all of this while balancing a relationship as well. It is essential to maintain a regular schedule and establish boundaries. Story 48. I don't work out much, and when I do, it's usually for only 10 to 20 minutes of push-ups, sit-ups, planks, and the occasional 20-minute run. My job often requires 12-hour shifts. I'm social on the weekends, play games from the time I get home until I'm bored, and still find time to eat, work on my car, and message close friends. If you truly care about something, you'll find the time to do it. Story 49. I work on a rota. I'm not sure how I would manage a Monday to Friday job, but whenever I receive my fortnightly rota planning, I schedule my days to ensure I wake up 3 to 4 hours before I am due at work. This allows me plenty of time to fit in a workout at the beginning of the day and eat my first meal without being in a hurry. This isn't always a morning routine. Sometimes I start work at 1500 hours or later. I check my off days and reserve those for my hobbies and social life. Sometimes, if I have an early start, I can return home and still have enough time to practice my hobbies as well. Story 50. Pick any two: hobbies, jobs, social life, or fitness. Jobs must be one or two of your selections. Thank you. Story 51. Making a schedule and sticking to it. If I don't schedule tasks, I don't complete them. Most importantly, if I don't schedule self-care, I tend to procrastinate and feel bad about wasting time, which makes it harder to complete necessary work. It is amazing how much you can accomplish when you feel good from taking care of yourself properly. Story 52. You have to build your life around the things you want. I am in one of the better career fields in the Air Force, so I am encouraged to work out for my job. That accounts for 2 of them. I am married but do not have kids, so I still have some free time in the afternoons. A lot of what I want to do comes down to scheduling. Admittedly, my social life is not very strong, but I am a bit of an introvert. It wasn't always like this, though. You purchase the freedom you have in later years with the choices you make in your younger years. Plan backwards from the life you want. Story 53. Characters, comics, and other entertainment activities have captivated you. One can do anything they wish as long as they desire. Story 54. I'm lucky enough that my workplace also houses various hobbyist groups, has an on-site gym, and I get along really well with all my colleagues, with whom I can spend time outside of work. My company also organizes various weekend activities for us. Last week, I went go-karting. Story 55. I have been struggling with this for years and have no idea what is happening or how it works. I have lost track of how many times I decided to let something go, only to find myself still doing it months later. I could say something positive about going with the flow, but that would not be true. It's exhausting, and I often dream of becoming a lonely, divorced couch potato just to get some rest. Story 56. Time management and prioritization are important. You don't have to go out every Friday or engage in hobbies every weekend. If you go to the gym, that is sufficient. Story 57. Prioritize, routine, and time management. In that order, I prioritize what is important to me. For me, it's the gym, family, girlfriend, hobbies, golf and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then social life. Honestly, my hobbies and social life are kind of the same because I don't really go out much anymore. I schedule my days every week and set aside time for what I want to do. This helps me follow a routine, and after a few weeks, it gets easier to stay disciplined with it. Since the gym is my top priority, I set specific days to hit my lifts. Then I have set days to spend time with family and my girlfriend and specific days for my hobbies. On work days, I have about an hour before bed to relax at the end of the day, but I don't sit around if I have a schedule to follow. I'm not super strict, though. If something comes up, like dinner with friends, I just adjust my schedule. If I need to miss a workout, I'll fit it in before I go golfing or practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I work from home twice a week, which is nice, and I can be relatively flexible on those days. However, I try not to change my schedule on days when I am in the office because my time is limited, especially after the commute. I know people with kids who manage to do far more than I do, and I respect them for it. A guy I train with in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu works out 2 to 3 times a week, lifts weights, and has a newborn. He tells me he gets 4 to 5 hours of sleep on a good day, so all respect to them. They definitely provide inspiration for me in the future. Story 58. Prioritize your time. I have to wake up at 2 a.m. so I can get to the gym before work because I can't go after work due to my responsibilities as a father. I stay up late when the next day is my day off. Story 59. Make your hobby, social life, and workouts one in the same. I play football and go mountain biking with friends, for example. Story 60. I have all of the above, including living alone, 2 grown children, being a homeowner, and having a girlfriend. However, what I lack is sleep. Sleep takes a back seat from Monday to Friday, with roughly 4 to 5 hours per night. Story 61. My hobby is an intense sport that I play with my friends and girlfriend 2 to 4 days a week. This is how it works for me. Story 62. I asked a friend who meets all these criteria, and he said it's because he has a hobby that requires people who share it to meet in person. Story 63. Work at a gym, make working out your hobby, and build friendships with other gym enthusiasts. That would probably work. Story 64. Wake up at 6. Hobby gaming from 7 to 8. Work from 9 to 5. Gym from 5 to 6. And enjoy a movie with my wife and food from 7 to 11. On weekends, I meet with friends. Story 65. Do you have to plan and schedule as much as you can, even though it seems like a chore, for your mental health? Story 66. I was working 2 full-time jobs, had a side job designing games, and still had time to spend with my girlfriend, work out, enjoy outdoor recreation, cook, and play video games with friends. I was able to manage this because my night office job was relaxed. I worked only a couple of hours before sleeping. Then I would go to my morning job, which involved strenuous tree work and sometimes served as my workout. I would go for a trail run, mountain bike, or rock climb, then return home to play video games and spend time with my girlfriend. Of course, this changed often depending on my mood and other activities I wanted to pursue, but that was the general routine. I don't like to be lazy, and I love being outside and staying active. Even when I feel exhausted, I sometimes get a second wind and am ready to go. Fortunately, I don't have children or school responsibilities like most people, which likely plays a significant role in my free time. I am very passionate about everything I do in my life. I enjoy both my jobs, my friends, my hobbies, exercising, and spending time with my partner. In summary, be passionate about everything you do, and you will always find time. Story 67. My workouts are my hobbies. I do them from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. before work, mostly before everyone is up. My job is from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and I work from home full-time. Almost my entire social circle consists of families with kids of similar ages, and we all get together regularly. We also socialize at each other's sports events. Story 68. Working out in the morning is easier to schedule and helps improve your mood and energy for the rest of the day. It may be challenging at first, and the effects may seem small, but they compound over time. Story 69. I combine my hobby of socializing and exercising by doing powerlifting and wrestling, while spending time with friends. Story 70. Their jobs are often easy enough to complete in 8 to 9 hours. You can do so much after that, especially if it is from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Story 71. I also have a wife and kids, and the answer is straightforward. Agree on a couple of days each month that are designated for you. Don't take the entire day, but use those days to see friends, pursue a hobby, or work out. The workout is convenient for me since my apartment has a 24-hour gym on site. Make it clear to everyone that these are your days. Focus on yourself 2 or 3 times a month. Story 72. My wife is extremely organized, while I am a bit more relaxed. This has helped me plan and schedule things more efficiently. Additionally, using a calendar application is very helpful. Story 73. Hobbies and social life often merge together. If you have a physical hobby, you are also staying active. Story 74. Prioritization. Family, job, exercise, cooking, social life, hobbies. I need to be okay with not engaging in my hobbies every week, which I am. Story 75. I do what I want when I want. I am open and clear when I want to transition to the next thing. We have been together for 5 hours, and now I want to go work out. I will say my goodbyes and leave because I am bored at the gym. Now, I want to focus on a hobby, so I go home and do it. You need to respect your own time and complete what you want to. Your body will communicate your needs, you just have to listen to it. Story 76. I work from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. After work, I go to the gym 3 days a week for 1 hour. I attend classes on Wednesdays and occasionally on Thursdays, Saturdays, or Sundays for 1 hour. This allows me plenty of time for eating and doing chores. The best approach is to plan in advance and know what you will do each week. I do not have any children. Story 77. Well, outside of my job, my hobby is tennis, which is also where I get most of my social interaction. Outside of that, there is not much going on. Story 78. You determine what is important to you and make time for it. This often comes at the expense of other activities like watching television or browsing online forums. If you truly want something, you will pursue it. Story 79. I'm not always consistent in achieving a good balance, but it doesn't take much time if you plan for it. Working out only takes 1 to 2 hours, depending on your routine, a few days a week. I usually do it right after work. Most weeknights follow this pattern. Work, workout, prepare dinner, walk the dog, tidy up, and do some light housework. Then I still have a couple of hours for hobbies or time with my girlfriend before bed. My social life is primarily on the weekends, usually Friday or Saturday nights. However, this can be challenging as my friends are busy too, with a few of them having children now. Story 80. I have a child and a few advantages working in my favor. I work from home, so I have no commute from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I can accomplish a lot from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. every weekday. I have a strong support system at home, with family members who can take care of my child. I manage to go out with friends for about 3 hours 1 to 2 times a week. Engage in various hobbies, such as woodworking and growing edible mushrooms. Visit the gym 3 times a week. Go out with my partner for dinner or other activities 1 to 2 times a week. I even have time left to watch television and play video games occasionally. I think people sometimes confuse feeling tired or stressed with not having enough time. I honestly don't see why scheduling these activities should be difficult if you aren't wasting your life away with a long daily commute. Story 81. I work from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Monday to Friday. My main hobby is running, so I can work out and enjoy my hobby simultaneously. I run before work from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. My social life consists primarily of texting friends in group chats during the week and spending time with them on Saturdays. On Saturdays, we usually play golf, watch sports, eat at a restaurant, or visit a brewery. Story 82. Make a routine and largely stick to it. Getting up early and working out first is probably the best way. Then focus on your tasks and divide your time between hobbies and social life after work. Story 83. My job is a 9-to-5 position. It allows for remote work and is goal-oriented, so as long as I complete my tasks, I can manage to get 50% to 75% of my chores done while working. This means that after 5 o'clock, I have time for hobbies and social activities. I personally prioritize social activities over hobbies, so if my friends want to go out, I join them. If no one is going out that night, which is usually the case, I focus on hobbies. Recently, I have been splitting my time between hobbies and talking on the phone with a close friend who lives in another state. Exercising is the only activity missing from my routine because, to be completely honest, I dislike traditional workouts. If I lived in the same state as a close friend who frequently goes out dancing, I would probably join her 2 to 4 times a week, making that both my workout and social time. Since I don't live there, I have found that playing Beat Saber is the workout I am most likely to stick with. Both activities are enjoyable and provide incidental exercise rather than making exercise the primary goal. The problem with Beat Saber is that I sometimes get tired of it or prefer to socialize instead of playing a game. However, if I work to overcome my social anxiety, I could likely find local places to go dancing and meet like-minded individuals. If I connected with someone as a close friend, they might encourage me to keep going regularly. But I am currently not in a space where I want to push through that. Instead, I am focusing on meeting people in lower pressure environments for now. I mention this to highlight how I would approach it if I were in the right mindset compared to my current actions. What all of the above has in common is that I strive to set up my life in a way that aligns with how I want to live. So pursuing what I want feels natural and does not require excessive decision-making or resistance from me. Additionally, I understand my priorities, allowing me to take action based on those when I have multiple options, and my priorities serve my needs. Along with priorities concerning what I want to do, I also have priorities for what I want to change and how to implement those changes, giving me direction to align more closely with my goals. Story 84. If you find out, please let me know. I have several hobbies, so I need to split my social life and hobbies across different days. Story 85. No children. Alternatively, they are affluent and can afford a stay-at-home spouse, a housekeeper, a gardener, and dining at restaurants regularly. Story 86. I keep weights at work and exercise during breaks. This leaves time after work and on weekends for hobbies, chores, meeting friends, or just sleeping if I'm worn out. It doesn't always work, but I haven't figured out a better way to manage things. Scheduling, as others have suggested, probably helps, but personally, without spontaneity, things start to feel like chores. Story 87. Systemic privilege. I was born into a wealthy family and attended a prestigious university where I formed connections that now largely ensure my business is profitable, allowing me to organize my work hours as I choose. Story 88. If you do not sacrifice for what is important becomes the sacrifice. Balancing work, fitness, hobbies, and relationships is easy when you keep this in mind. The sacrifice is more painful than the commitment. Story 89. Does spending time with other families that have young children 1 to 2 times a month count as a social life? Just joking, sort of. If that counts, I manage to do all of these activities, and it's all about scheduling. Some activities overlap as well. For example, mountain biking is one of my favorite hobbies. It can be social and is always a great workout. Story 90. Group your hobbies and social life in the same spot. If you can work out from home, do that to save time. I bought a squat rack, a bench, and some other equipment for my basement a while ago and never looked back. At the end of the day, after all my chores and work nearby, I still have 30 to 40 hours each week to do whatever I want. Story 91. I do all of this. Here's how. First, I don't have a girlfriend and I'm not actively dating. Second, I only require 6 hours of sleep per night, which saves a lot of time. Third, my job is quite laid back. I work from home and usually work about 45 hours per week. This leaves me plenty of time to pursue whatever I choose. Story 92. I go to bed at 10 and get up at 5. It's the only way I can work out, have a full-time job, raise a family, and be an active golfer. Story 93. Scheduling and making time for the things you enjoy is important, especially working out. An old man once told me, "Work out by choice. Don't wait until you have no choice." Story 94. avoiding screens whenever possible and embracing single living, reducing commute times and seeking nearby locations. Story 95. Do not have children. Work remotely. Have a home gym or one within a few minutes. Mine is 1 kilometer away, so I can run there in 7 minutes. Have a partner who works the same hours. Outsource time-consuming domestic tasks. Our cleaner and gardeners are invaluable. It all comes down to money. People say money does not buy happiness, and that is somewhat true, but it does buy time. Time to do what you want to do, rather than what you have to do. Story 96. It is quite easy for me, living in a smaller city, working from home, and having a gym in my building. I can accomplish most of what you mentioned without needing to drive anywhere, which saves a significant amount of time. Story 97. Good time management is important. I am fortunate to have a gym in my office, allowing me to work out during my lunch break. I do most of my shopping early in the morning before work. There are no crowds in the stores, and the shelves are freshly stocked. I can get in and out quickly, completing all my shopping for the day by 7 a.m. During the week, I have work evenings and play evenings. Work evenings involve tasks like cleaning, mowing the lawn, and home repairs. Play evenings are for relaxing with friends and pursuing hobbies. I don't always get to alternate them, but by staying on top of household tasks and being efficient with shopping, I have more time for friends and hobbies. Story 98. I work from home and immediately head to the basement after work to exercise. I usually finish before 6 p.m., then quickly shower, leaving me with the rest of the night. I can also stay up later than most because I have no commute. Story 99. I have a job, hobbies, a social life, and I am also back in college. I only need to work out, but scheduling is a challenge. Most of my social life is related to my hobbies. I don't work out mainly due to laziness. Do you have any advice? Story 100. Rank what is important to you and allocate time accordingly. For example, if finances are the most important aspect of your life right now and require the most attention, let's say family and friends are the second most important. Your partner and children should receive a certain amount of attention after or before work. Plan family days when you know you are off, or set aside days to hang out with your friends. My group of friends gets together regularly, but I know they always meet for a pay-per-view event each month at a friend's house, so I make arrangements to be there at least one night each month. If the gym is the third most important priority, figure out what works best for you. If you can wake up earlier and go to the gym for an hour in the morning before work, that's great. If you have a partner who wants to go with you after work, bring her along. If she doesn't want to go, just explain that you need an hour to an hour and a half, 4 to 5 days a week for that time after work, but you're down to hang out before or after the gym and on rest days. If hobbies are your least important priority, set aside one day off for whatever extra time you have to engage in hobbies like gaming, building, working on cars, art, or whatever your hobby is. Just prioritize what is most important to you and adjust accordingly. Story 101. The best way to live is to make the most out of daylight. If you start your day as soon as the sun rises, you will find that you have enough time to dedicate to the things you want to do. However, it is not all there is to it. You need to respect your sleep schedule and maintain a balanced diet. This doesn't mean you have to change your eating habits to just salads. Sometimes, simply cutting your intake of fat and sugar can be more than enough. Story 102. Keeping an up-to-date calendar for your daily schedule and maintaining a routine are essential. Eliminating activities that waste time, such as binge-watching television shows and engaging in unscheduled gaming sessions, can significantly enhance your productivity. Story 103. Don't waste time sitting in bed on social media or at your computer on video sharing platforms. If you engage in these activities, limit the time you spend on them. Story 104. I work 10 minutes from home. I dislike my job, but it is convenient. I manage to practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 2 to 3 times a week, lift weights 3 times a week, bike ride 1 to 2 times a week, and maintain a social life with my girlfriend. I work full-time from Monday to Friday and occasionally do food delivery in my free time. Story 105. Merge all of them into one. The only friends I have are from my hobby of weightlifting. I wish I made money doing it, but I only work 4 hours a day, so that helps too. Story 106. I work from home in a large city. My hobbies, gym, and social life are within a 10-minute walk from me. The trade-off is living in a small apartment and having limited access to nature, but it is still worth it. Story 107. You improve at time management as you grow older. Some individuals are naturally better at this, so it may be a matter of genetics. Story 108. There are many complex answers here, but I really don't think it's that difficult. I have no planning whatsoever and can accomplish all of that and more. Do you do everything daily, each day of the week? Story 109. Some of my hobbies are related to exercise, which serves multiple purposes. The work I've recently started in landscaping is quite physical, so that contributes as well. My primary form of physical activity, which is also a hobby, provides me with social outlets. Story 110. I don't sit down when I get home except for dinner and at the end of the day. This time of year, I can spend another 3 hours outside with dinner mixed in, and then work out after it's dark. I set an alarm to ensure I go to bed around the same time. If I sit down otherwise, I quickly feel tired and fall asleep. I socialize on weekend evenings and work out in the morning after waking up on weekends. It doesn't hurt me to change up my workout schedule a bit. Story 111. Make time after the children go to bed. On workdays, you may end up going to the gym at 8:30 at night. It's not ideal, but I refuse to spend less time with my children because of hobbies and exercising. Make sure the entire family knows in advance what your schedule will be and stick to it. Story 112. Utilize Google Calendar to plan your days in advance and fit flexible tasks, such as hobbies and workouts, in between. Story 113. I do the things I want when I want to. I have a job that rarely requires overtime and gives me a lot of time off. My hobbies are my social life. I work out, but I am not a frequent gym goer. I try to exercise 2 to 3 times a week, but if I don't manage to, I don't mind. I don't have children, just a lot of animals. Story 114. My hobby is part of my social life, and I work out to improve my skills in beer league ice hockey. Story 115. I am very spontaneous and prioritize my best interests first. I have learned to say no to things and make them fit into my schedule. Story 116. I cannot do everything in a day. I need to learn to schedule and find my ideal balance. On weekends, I prioritize socializing. Weekdays and weeknights are dedicated to work, chores, and low-impact hobbies and workouts. I also combine my workouts with my hobbies, such as tennis, pickleball, and boxing, so I don't need to set aside 30 to 60 minutes twice a week for exercise. I socialize on weeknights when I have the time and energy, and I explore new hobbies or interests if my current ones aren't fulfilling. I prioritized finding a job that pays enough to live comfortably while giving me the freedom to pursue my interests. While I could find a higher paying or more fulfilling job, it would detract from the aspects of my life I have come to truly appreciate. Story 117. Scheduling and prioritizing are essential. For me, it's my job, working out, hobbies and self-care, and my social life in that order. Understand what's important and identify the activities you can spend the most and least time on. Story 118. You move with purpose. I do full body weight training 3 times a week, which takes 25 minutes per session. Your job requires 8 hours a day. You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Getting ready for work typically takes about 30 minutes. Unless you have a commute of 1 hour or longer each day, you should have plenty of time for friends and hobbies. Story 119. You have to make a schedule and be disciplined with it. However, sometimes you must sacrifice time for one thing to accomplish another. If I get stuck at work for a bit longer, it takes away from my social life or my hobby time, for example. Story 120. I do all those things and have 2 kids, aged 4 and 6 months. You mentioned in your post to manage your time. Make compromises with your spouse to get me time for your hobbies. You may need to cut down on time-wasting activities like scrolling through Reddit and Instagram, as well as binge-watching. Story 121. I have hobbies and a job lined up for a gap year. Currently, I work as a soccer referee. I have a social life, although it involves very few people, and I go to the gym. The reason I can manage all this is time management. I have learned to schedule my life effectively, and if something gets in the way, I ask myself if it is mandatory, optional, or optional but should be done. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.